We are being lied to in the Five Nights at Freddy's trailers, and here's how. Welcome back to another Five Nights at Freddy's theory, and this time we're gonna go over how the FNAF movie is trying to trick us from the trailers. Everyone, including MatPat, seems to think that this movie is just gonna be a simple retelling of the first FNAF game, with slight changes to the story to allow for this guy here to meet up with our main characters. But if you've been a fan of the Freddy's games for some time, you'll know that they never do simple. Even some of the events shown directly to us had some confusion when we first saw them.
Was that the bite of 87?
Sorry, Mark, that's actually the bite of 83, not to be confused with the only other bite that we hear about in the games before this point in time.
But then there was the bite of 87.
Anyway, why do I think that MatPat and everyone else is wrong about this just being a simple retelling of FNAF 1? Well, besides my ego telling me that I'm better than everyone else, I do have a few reasons. The last simple retelling of the games we got was Help Wanted, a game with no lore implications. Yeah, that's a lie. The game introduced Glitch Trap, a new digital version of Springtrap that is set on locking the player in the game and transferring himself into the player's body so he can escape. This entire game was used just to explain how Vanessa became Vanny, and is why she is trying to bring back Springtrap in Security Breach. On the topic of Vanessa and Springtrap, let's talk about the two characters who shouldn't be in the trailer. Springtrap only exists before FNAF 2 and during FNAF 3 because he gets stuck behind a wall after getting spring-locked, and Vanessa only appears in Security Breach. These two shouldn't be in the FNAF 1 location. MatPat's theory says,
what I think's going on here from a meta perspective is that the movie's taken a bunch of stories from the game franchise and simplifying them for a general film audience, while trying to keep the most iconic aspects of the games intact.
Which sounds pretty convincing until you realize that we're getting at least 2 more movies after this one. That's right, it's been said by Matthew Lillard, Mr. Purple Guy himself, that we are getting a trilogy of movies. That will make changing their stories later on more difficult as they get farther from the source material. Security Breach takes place over 30 years in their future, putting Vanessa in her 50s at that point. Also, if Springtrap gets, well, spring-locked at the end of this movie, and the animatronics haven't been disassembled by William Afton before that point, then who will disassemble the animatronics in order to melt them down and make the Funtime animatronics? Not to mention, Vanessa already knows about the animatronics before meeting Mike. She asks him,
have you met them yet?
And even warns Mike about the
ghost children possessing giant robots. Thanks for the heads up.
Speaking of the ghost children, in the games, the spirits only seem to be able to communicate through the 8-bit minigames we play. The only person who ever interacts with the spirits is William Afton, and that's because he angers them by disassembling the animatronics that they are trapped in. That makes it all the more weird that Mike presumably talks to them in this scene here. Not to mention the weird connection that Abby has with Golden Freddy. Before Mike and Abby even enter the pizzeria, Abby is seen carrying what looks to me like a golden bear plush. Now yes, this could just be symbolism, but I think there's something else here. My theory is that Mike is stuck in a virtual world without even realizing, and the spirits are using their power to influence the world to break him out. Now, I know, you probably don't believe me just yet, but just wait before you click to a new video, please. Also, feel free to tear my theory to shreds in the comments, but I really do think I'm onto something here. The FNAF franchise as a whole has been leaning into this theme of trapping someone in some sort of made-up world for a while now. Security Breach Ruin is heavily theorized that Cassie gets stuck in the AR world right after putting on the mask.
Ow! That hurts.
Security Breach itself has Vanessa stuck in the Princess Quest arcade cabinets. Help Wanted ends with the player getting imprisoned in the game and Glitch Trap taking over their body. The books have the story of a girl who gets trapped in a VR water park with someone who looks like her cousin and is trying to drown her. The most recent book has a story of a kid who was stuck for years in a room that was being pumped full of hallucinogenic gas to make him constantly have nightmares, only to get tricked into turning the gas back on by a tape recording. The movie will be the next story to follow this trend. I can confidently say that Mike and Vanessa will both be stuck in a virtual world. Not only that, I think I know how this movie will start and end. We see that Mike gets into a fight with someone at his previous job, and I think this is by design. I think the spirits possess this NPC to say something outlandish so that it causes Mike to become enraged. This will get Mike fired from his job, and he'll need to find something to take care of his daughter quickly. In comes Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, a place that for some reason no longer has kids going into it, but still needs a night guard? Strange, but hey, it's easy money for Mike, so he accepts. Mike starts work and meets the police officer Vanessa, another person stuck in the simulation. I think Vanessa knows she's trapped, however, since she knows about the animatronics being haunted. But I think, like Security Breach, she needs someone in the real world to save her, so she decides to help Mike. But she can't tell him too much, or else risk the program activating its protection plans against them. The spirits attempt to nudge Mike in the right direction, with little success, so they begin pushing harder and harder until eventually the protection program activates, sending out Springtrap. Eventually, Mike does find a way to leave the simulation, but this is when we realize that not only can Vanessa not leave, but neither can Abby. That's because Abby's connection to Golden Freddy is stronger than we realize, and we find out she's not connected to Golden Freddy, she is Golden Freddy. She's been watching over Mike since he entered the simulation, posing as his daughter, which is why we see her so comfortable around the Golden Freddy suit. Now, the trailer wants us to think that Abby is in danger of becoming one of the animatronics.
What do they want?
They want to make her like them.
I don't think anyone will realize she is Golden Freddy because, like in the games, the Golden Freddy animatronic will have two spirits attached to it. This is why she will be able to communicate with the people outside of this weird spirit world and can leave the pizzeria. She just has more power than the other four animatronics. It also could be because Abby is a stand-in for Cassidy, the one. The Cassidy spirit is known across the games for being very powerful and chaotic. The Golden Freddy suit teleports into the security office instead of walking in like the other animatronics. Cassidy is also the one who traps William Afton's soul in Ultimate Custom Night and torments his soul for eternity at the cost of not being able to rest herself. Mike will then escape the simulation in order to save Vanessa and the spirits from their imprisonment, in order to lead into the next movie, possibly leading into FNAF 3, where we uncover the real Springtrap and hear the famous line,
I always come back.
Thanks for watching till the end, and let me know how you think I did in the comments, or come back after the movie and tell me how close my theory was. Also, don't forget to like the video so YouTube pushes it to more people. Also, it would be awesome if you turned that red subscribe button gray. If you need more convincing, here's two videos you might like. One is a security breach theory, and the other is chosen by YouTube. Thanks again for watching till the end. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!